Afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our webinar on transforming logistical data to optimize your supply chain. Um, just about to get going. Yeah, I think some people are just popping in, but yeah, let me get started. Okay, all right. Good afternoon. Yes, my name is Kieran Kirk. I'm the operations director with IMGS and Data Builders. So today we're going to talk about transforming logistical data to optimize your supply chain. So, who are IMGS and Data Builders? We build simple solutions for complex data challenges. And some of our customers are across these industries, from utilities, telecoms, to government and transport, to engineering, and hundreds more. One of our guys changed these slides, got these nice people walking across the picture. That's a new one for me. Okay. So we're going to talk about supply chain management and analytics. So efficient supply chain management is crucial in today's world, and anybody who has been in Ireland over the last week will know that 100%. So we've seen what can happen and how supply chains can be impacted by whatever change is going on, whether geopolitical, climate, economic changes. They're a constant challenge and getting more and more of a challenge. So manual processes and instinctive decision making are no longer an option. Analytics are key for modern logistics by turning raw data into smarter decisions, faster operations, and lower costs. Sorry, wrong page, just click that. Yeah. So how can analytics improve supply chain? Well, first off is being able to do cost and route optimization by figuring out the best carrier or the lowest cost options. Also then knowing your inventory management, only ordering stock when you need it, not running out of stock so that you impact your production. And then also forecasting again, to help with inventory management and help with supply chain is forecasting your demand in the future. How much demand are you going to use? And then being able to track through your supply chain and see which suppliers, which carriers are working well and which ones aren't working as well. So the challenges in supply chain analytics, in a lot of cases, we'll find is there's no single source of truth. So you've got a wide variety of source systems. And to do accurate forecasting and trend analysis, it requires significant historical data. So again, we talk about AI, and everybody wants to do everything through AI, but AI is not magic. It still needs good data to actually make these kind of decisions and do these kind of forecast models. As I've mentioned already, supply chain is evolving and changing rapidly. We're seeing it in the Middle East now, how this is going to impact certain things being delivered, certain products that you mightn't even think impact your solution will have a knock-on effect. And understanding that full supply chain dependencies and what you're dependent on is really, really important. There is also then a lot of people making decisions without a real clarity of information, and that then impacts what they're actually doing in their analytics. So what do we do? Well, with FME, we use the FME to do data integration. So FME is a perfect tool to populate your data warehouse with the latest data. And we can pull data in from ERP systems, from live devices if you're tracking mobile crew or mobile deliveries, to provide a single view of stock, orders, and deliveries. FME can process historical data to support trend and forecast analysis. And also, because FME is so strong with GIS, it can actually create spatial tools that can provide enhanced planning through network analysis for network routing and figuring out the best route. So what is FME? For those on the call who mightn't have come across FME before, FME is an enterprise platform which empowers everybody. And with it, it is for all data users. So whatever your level, FME can be used to make sure you're able to take advantage of all the data. And all data types. So it's really important that we can actually get into any kind of data, whether it's spatial data, whether it's IoT devices, whether it's ERP, real-time information from your manufacturing, from your floor. We can bring all that information in together to help you work with all this data. And also, again, we can't have an analytics presentation these days without talking about AI. So with FME, we can work with any AI. You need to be able to use any AI service you want, whether it's on-premise or in the cloud. And again, we don't mind where the data is. So all data locations, getting information from wherever you need it. So the FME platform itself it provides it's a solution, a complete platform that allows you to connect to any kind of data or information, whether it's business data, geospatial data, applications, web services, or streams. FME has over 600 different readers and writers for connecting to data, including support for REST and web services. Once you connect to the data, it is able to then to transform that data. So it has 500 plus pre-built transformers and even more, hundreds more on the hub. And then we can automate these processes, which I'll show you today, and build in things like data streaming and webhook support. And then this can all be reused using publish parameters. Again, I'll explain some of that this morning. REST API, and then a no-code web app builder, which I'll show you later on. So with FME, we have a scalable and flexible solution that's got dynamic scaling, fault tolerant, and allows you to deploy anywhere. And use cases can do data integration and application integration. And FME can talk to any systems that you'd be looking at. So what is the FME platform? Well, FME, all the workflows are created through FME form. So with the data workflow, we're able to take the data from source, do something with it, and write it to destination. But then FME Flow then brings life to those workflows by publishing them on a server or on a hosted version, which is FME Flow hosted. And this is where you can automate these processes so that they run without human intervention or provide the ability for people to self-serve to get the information where they need it. And also then as well, we have FME Realize, which allows you to look at your data in a kind of 3D augmented reality view. So let me start off first off by showing you how we get the data in, and then in the second section of my presentation, I'll show you some of the analytics we can then do once you have your data warehouse built. So if we jump out, still sharing screen, let me see, move my FME over here. There we go, that's on screen, perfect. So, so this is FME desktop. And what you'll see here is I've got a lot of data, which is coming from different sources. So I got inventory, I got orders, I got returns, I've got supplier data, and I got lots and lots of records. And then I've got my database. So in this case, what I'm using is a PostgreSQL database, which anyone who's been on my sessions before will know I'm a big, sorry, I was going to escape that, a big fan of Amazon RDS, which provides you a hosted database in the cloud. So with it, we use PostgreSQL. So this database is going to pull all the data into the data warehouse so then that we can use it for analytics and for analytical purposes. So you can see here, I can run this workspace. So I can actually connect to all of my different sources. Now in this demo example, I'm just using different silos of files to pull the data in. But actually, we could be pulling this data in from data warehouses, any kind of databases, or any kind of information you'd need or want to get. And you can see with our desktop tool, we can actually create that, load that data in. We can actually visualize the information going across as it's being lifted. So you can see there's 10,000 records coming in here, going through this transformation and then being pushed out to each table in my Postgres database. And I'm just running here. So on my little application, I've got a PostgreAdmin table, and you can see my tables are being populated with the database. So a really useful application to run with your data. So now my process is run, and I can actually see the data. And I forgot to turn on, which I'll do it now, rerun that, put caching on. If I turn on caching, you'll see now that I can actually visualize that data as it's going through. So I can look at the source data. So I can see my inventory information is coming in. I can see the product ID, I can see the warehouse, and I can see the stock quantity. And you can actually see that data at any point during the process with the caching to visualize that information as it's being pushed out. And you can also see the record counts going out easy. If we want to add in future other data sets with FME, we actually have all sorts of formats that we can actually use. So you can see here, I could pick if it's SAP was my system, I could be picking SAP HANA, or if I had an Oracle database, I can pull in from Oracle, or even if I'm looking at things like if it's orders and I'm looking at Salesforce. So we have the ability to read the data from all these different sources and actually bring them in. So you can see now, once I've run my process and loaded the records into my database, the report here gives me a list of records that I can see how many was pushed out. If there's any warnings, is there any errors? There was none in my process. So with my FME, which is a no-code solution, I'm able to ingest all my logistics data and populate into a single RDS warehouse, which is now here, up here, and I have my different tables sitting here that I can actually look at the data and then start building my analytics. So that the desktop works in that simple way. Now I've created another little simple workspace. Like if I wanted to look at a query to see where I've got my stock levels are low. So I'm going to open up another workspace which I've previously created. And this is a very simple workspace, but it's actually very powerful, which is to look at my inventory table that I've now loaded. From that table, I want to check where is the stock level lower than the reorder level. And I don't have to write a line of code. I can just have a simple value in here, which is stock quantity, less than or equal to reorder level. And then that's just going to pop into a list for me, the data, the records, the products which need to be ordered. And then I'm writing this out to a spreadsheet so that I can then email it to my supplier and go, okay, here's the list of products that I want to order. So if you look at this, it's a spreadsheet. I'm picking out the attributes I want to push in, and I have designed how I want to set that file up. So I can run this here. So I can run this report to connect to my database now that I've loaded the data in and figure out which stock is actually due for replenishment and I need to create an order on. So I'm going to run that here. And in it, it runs and it then pops out and gives me a list of the records that actually needed to be loaded. So I can look at that data. So I can see the list of records where, as you can see here, stock quantity is lower than the stock quantity is lower than the reorder level. So it actually shows you the records that I actually need to run and get my order. Now, you might say that's fine, but I don't really want to have my stock manager having to go into a IT tool like this and actually run that report. I want to be able to self-serve it. They can go in at any point and able to run a query to give them the level of stock that need to be ordered. Well, what we have in FME is the ability to take this workflow and publish it out to the server. Yeah, my versions are slightly out of sync, but don't mind that. So I can now go publish this out to my low stock app, put up my connection, I already have it, and I'm going to make it a data download so they can download the spreadsheet. So what you can see now, that is popped up, and I can now go out to my FME app. Let me bring it up here. So out to my FME flow hosted, and I can come up here and I can go run workspace. So if we look at, I got my own little repository, which is Kieran, and you can see low stock is here. So I can actually just decide to go, right, let's run that without having to be in the product, without having to have that IT piece. I can just hit a button. So I can now click on my link here, open the file, file's over here. Oh, and where'd it go? Open the file. There it is, keeps moving on me. Right, and now there is the stock order spreadsheet that I'm after creating there now on my process. My clock seems to be 1 hour behind, but that's okay. And what we can see is there's a list of the products that need to be reordered, and I can now send that to my supplier, send that to my manager. And again, I have the data because it's in my data warehouse, and I'm easily able to self-serve that. Now you might say, God, even that there looks a little bit clunky for my users to be able to run in, get the data, and get my spreadsheet. Well, actually what we can do is we can create what's called a flow app. So I can actually come in here and make it even simpler. So I can call it webinar, and I'll give it another title and pick a repository, which is Kieran, pick my workspace, which is low stock, and I can even parameter defaults, I say don't want to show the connection, I don't need that. And I can have dynamic parameters if I want. And I can customize the look and feel. You know, I can put in different icons and pictures or whatever, but I'm just going to do quickly straight away. Copy that link. And now all the person in the department needs to do is click on the link. And now they can run that same self-serve report to get the data out of their database, because FME is now able to go off, figure out which stock levels are low. Your stock levels are constantly being updated, and then be able to extract that data out. So it means then that I've worked with one factory where they do planning of their run every day, but they're not quite sure of their stock, what's in stock, because not all the data gets updated. They have different silos. So by having an ability to get that latest view and have that information, that when the person is then planning their work and planning their jobs and things that they're going to do, they then know, well, actually, we can't fulfill that one job because we don't have enough stock. We're going to have to wait for that stock to come in. We need to place that order. So by having access to your data and having things like FME to do that kind of self-serve, you can actually make better decisions. And FME can also be used not only to take data down, but also to update data. So I mentioned there already, what happens if the guys who are using it in the stock room aren't updating when things leave the office, leave the stock room, and aren't updating the latest version of how many records of stock they have. Well, and this does happen because the systems aren't there. So they wait for a week or two to update these back office records from paper or whatever, when actually you should be doing it digitally. So similarly, with FME, we can have a simple app. So if I have update inventory app that I've created here, so in this case, I'm just reading into the table, and I want to be able to pick a record, a feature, an inventory record, and update the level of stock for that. So that when I do that report that I've done a minute ago, where I'm actually looking for the latest, you know, what's our levels of our stock that we need to reorder, that's up to date and based on the right information. So in FME, I've done a couple of things here. I have my little simple workflow, which is reading into the inventory table, writing some data out, but that the data it's writing out is based on two parameters. One is which inventory record are you updating, and two is what's the new stock level. So I've created them as what's called publish parameters or user parameters in FME, so that when this is run, and it's run here, you'll see I've got a drop-down list that's picking the inventory record, and I can type in the new level of stock, and I can run that. So I can run this now, and it's wrote that out to the database. Now again, you'll say that's a bit clunky. The guy on the floor, he's going to have a phone, and he's just going to be able to write in whatever. Well, we can publish this app out, and we can, again, very similar, we can publish it up to our hosted version. Now this version, because we're not actually downloading any data, we're making a job submitter because we're going to push that data back into the database. So if I hit publish on that, what we'll now see, if we go up to our Flow app again, we'll now see I have a new workspace, which is called, in here we've got update inventory, and this time I'm going to pick this record here, and I'm going to put in 350, and I'm going to run that, and it's now going to let me update that feature and update the database. Again, you look at this, you'll say it's a little bit clunky. I wouldn't want to give that to a guy in the stock room. Well, what actually we can do is we can create a simple app. So very similar, I have my Flow update inventory app here, which I've created already, and I can copy it, take the path, and then anybody can just call this app. And now you can see in this app, I can pick the record I want to update. I can enter in the new value of stock. So after getting rid of 50 items, and I can hit run. And now my database is up to date. And I've yet to write one line of code. So again, this little web app could be called through a mobile phone, through a tablet. If you need to update any of your information, our low code approach allows you to push that data back in. And even then, what you can have is with FME, we have our ability to have gallery app. So gallery apps is where you can actually gather and collect all the apps together, so to give one portal, one-stop shop. So what you'll see here is I have my stock order, I have my inventory, and I've got a link to our analytics page, which I'll be talking about in a second. So if you look at that gallery app, and I copy it, bring it up here. So now what we can see is we've created, but again, no programming. Now the ability to not only upload information, to run information, but also then to download as well. So I can run my stock order and it'll run straight away because I don't need any parameters because I'm looking for the latest version, and I'll get my latest version of my spreadsheet based on the latest stock changes I've made. So I'm now getting the most up-to-date change there that I require. Similarly, I can do my inventory, and you can see again, I can run that in, or you can link out to other portals or websites. So I actually had a create here, which is a link out to our dashboard in Sisense, which we created to analyze our logistics data, which I'm going to take me on to the next step. So let me just jump back here. So FME data pipelines, you've seen what we were doing there. A couple of things just to bear in mind with FME that also we have other webinars on, but I haven't touched on. One is FME in the last year has brought out data virtualization. So that allows us to create APIs, again, through an OP API specification, means we can integrate all these systems in real time. Doesn't require programming, which again is really important. So as we're updating the data, like you've seen there, or bringing data down, we don't have to convert it. We can take it on the fly. We can write the information out, and all done through trusted real-time access. One of the other things is there you've seen, I've got to show to you, I have to go back, is the ability to do alerting. So we are proactively asking, give us a list of products that are below stock level. Well, actually, with FME, what we can also do is to have that alert proactively happening. So when your stock levels are low, generate that stock report, automatically send it out, automatically generate the file. And not only I did it in Excel, but also those reports or files could be by email, Teams, create Word documents, PDF, HTML, that can all be done with FME. And the one that I didn't show you, just to jump quickly back, is, sorry, not that one, that one. In here, we also have what's called automations. So similarly, I have that one automation that is low stock, that it automatically fires up and checks the data every night to see if we any stock, or is our stock levels low, and to actually then fire at that workspace without anybody getting involved. So you get an email in the morning going, here is the stock that needs to be ordered this month. So okay, and then just to talk about our analytics platform with Sisense. So with Sisense, we combine advanced supply chain data analytics and a built-in AI and API first developer flexibility. So with Sisense, we can drive forecast accuracy, deliver predictive and prescriptive insights, so supplier trends, cost optimization, inventory risks, and delivery performance. So why Sisense? Well, modern apps these days require modern analytics. Up until now, traditional BI was static dashboards and canned reports, limited customization and disjointed user experience. And a lot of cases required a data scientist to make any kind of use of the data. But the modern analytics platform provides flexible dashboards and actionable insights, fully customizable in context, so you find the analytics where you need to use them, and AI-assisted modeling and exploration for all users. Sisense is the API-first analytics platform that modernizes business by seamlessly embedding in-context analytics. So you can go from data to actionable insights in minutes, flexibility to quickly build, and then accelerate innovation. So the Sisense platform, the main product we're going to show you today is Sisense Fusion, which can be a Sisense managed cloud or hosted by a customer. In it, we have a dashboard and widget designer, the ability then to pull data in and do modeling and querying. And then really, really important is robust security so that only people can see the data they're supposed to see. And that gives you that level of governance. From there are some really clever AI services now can be built on top. And then you can choose how you want to embed those analytics into your application or into your product. So let me show you Sisense demo dashboard that we have, which is this guy here. Okay, so what you'll see here is I've created this initial dashboard, which is pulling on the data that we pulled in from the FME workspace into our data warehouse. So you'll see straight away, we have a nice little dashboard that is showing us month by month how many orders we're getting in and how many cancellations we have. And then we can actually see now the data is auto-generated, so it's a bit straight line, but in reality, you'll see the spikes and the trends where the data is good. As I mentioned already, in supply chain, analyzing which carriers, which suppliers are doing well and which ones are doing bad is really, really important. So you can see here, we have our little dashboard, our little chart that shows, you know, the average days to deliver for each of our carriers. So DHL is 5, FedEx, and then UPS. All this information is made up, so no a slice on any carrier. So you can actually see then we can also analyze the costs based on the cost model. Again, data made up. We can see which of these carriers is taking in more cost, and then simply with our suppliers, we can do a similar analysis. So here we're looking at the best suppliers by lead time, and then just cross-referencing that with our rating from the customer who got the delivery. So you can see these guys, third SO8 is the third best supplier, but actually got one of the highest average ratings. And then you can see these other guys a little bit lower and picking up the average their time. And then we can see the worst performing suppliers by lead time here, which is just once we get all this data together into the database, we can start creating these kind of analytics and start looking at this kind of dashboards to see what information is out there. Similarly, if you're analyzing your product and you want to look at good returns, bad returns, we can see which product has been most returned, which product has been least returned. So again, we're looking at these guys and going, yeah, this is why, and which ones have been defective, which ones because the customer didn't like the product. Analyzing this will then help you with your product direction, marketing, which products are you going to get out there, having this in your analytics and in your dashboard. And then again, big thing in supply chain is being able to forecast your demand. So able to know which products are popular, when's your demand going to spike up, when's it going to come in. So you can see here, we can see the actual demand and the forecasts that we were giving. And then we're looking at, well, okay, with Sisense, we can actually look out and see, right, we are here now, a bit of a spike in the data for the start of the year, but this is where we think our demand is going to be. So we want to make sure our suppliers are able to meet that demand. Our supply chain products coming in that we need are going to be here on time, that we don't run out of any software or any product in that time. So building analytics this way is really, really important. We can also see with our product here, we can also, with Sisense, it generates automatically text. So you can see here, UPS delivers slightly faster than DHL, and minimum variation success, they're all very efficient, which is what we kind of expect. And that's easily turned on. So inside the widget, you're able to put on the narrative and it's put onto your dashboard, and you can pick where to put it above or below or beside the widget or whatever suits you in your dashboard. And then as well, if we're looking to dive into data, we have the functionality inside Sisense to actually jump into more information. So I can actually build another dashboard which gives me the months, the date, the delivery date, and then the days it's taken on those months to deliver and the ship dates. So you can actually have your dashboards that pull in more information and see what's going on. Okay, and also big thing in Sisense, the ability then to filter data. So I might actually go, right, I'm going to look at a certain range, or I'm going to, you know, pick out a certain warehouse. So I'm going to pick certain warehouses that I'm interested in, and I can then see how is their performance? Is it changing the delivery? Is it changing the suppliers? So we can actually have any kind of filters in our dashboard to bring out that data and then analyze the performance across our supply chain. Okay. All right. And then just to give an example where we've actually done this. So we worked with Data Builders, worked with Transport Exchange Group. So they provide a logistics collaboration platform for the enterprise. So help companies deliver the most ambitious supply chain. And the analytics platform allows customers to analyze carrier performance. So we migrated Tedge's embed analytics from Tableau to Sisense. We developed a benchmark data model for industry-wide analysis, and we replaced our embedded dashboards and trained our team. And they've been an ongoing customer of ours for a couple of years now. So this is the kind of a real world example of where they're looking at benchmark performance, which carriers, which areas of the UK are getting better deliveries, and then being able to analyze the costs and cost per mile and all that kind of stuff by building out the analytics and data warehouse we're talking about today. So with IMGS and data builders, we can see we can do advanced routing will cut delivery times and increase fuel savings. Demand forecasting will lower warehouse costs and improve customer satisfaction. And productivity KPIs will drive organization efficiencies. If you're interested in embedding applications and how we can take the kind of dashboards that we showed today and embed into your software, our next webinar is this time next month, 12th of May at 2 p.m. And yeah, you'll have myself going through how to build insights into your software applications by embedding Sisense. So I think we're pretty much on time. So thank you for your time today. This session will be recorded, so it'll be online on our website. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to me, and we'll be happy to meet. So thanks for taking your time today, and I hope you have a nice afternoon. Thank you.